You know, there's a quiet revolution happening inside India's classrooms. It's aiming to completely reshape the future for millions of young people. And it didn't start with some big flashy announcement, but with a single, really startling number that exposes a massive problem.
Take a look at this number. Less than 5%. It seems so small, right? Almost insignificant. But this single figure represents a huge challenge, right at the heart of India's future. So what exactly are we talking about here?
Well, this is the percentage of India's entire young workforce that has any kind of formal vocational training. It reveals this giant disconnect between what's taught in the classroom and the practical skills people actually need for the modern economy.
And then, when you put that number in a global context, the picture becomes even more stark. I mean, just look at this. Compare India's less than 5% to Germany at 75%, or South Korea at a staggering 96%. This isn't just a gap, it's a chasm, and that is exactly why India is launching this massive educational overhaul.
So this brings us to the core issue, what we're calling India's big skill gap. For decades, the system has prioritized academic knowledge, rote learning and exams. But it's really struggling to equip a new generation for a 21st century economy that absolutely thrives on practical skills and innovation. So, how do you even begin to bridge a chasm this wide? Well, the answer is a complete redesign of the whole system. Let's introduce the new education blueprint. This comes in the form of a really ambitious framework known as the National Education Policy 2020. Now, this policy is a landmark document. It's the first of its kind for India in this century. This isn't just some small update. It's a fundamental revision of the entire education structure, designed to be way more flexible, holistic, and in sync with modern needs. And this quote right here, it gets to the very heart of the policy's philosophy. No hard separations between arts and sciences, between vocational and academic streams. The whole goal is to break down those old, rigid walls that have always put academic subjects on a pedestal, way above practical skills. The policy sets a bold and honestly an almost audacious national mission. By 2025, at least 50% of all learners have to have some exposure to vocational education. Just think about that for a second. Going from less than 5% to 50% in just a few years. It's a monumental undertaking. But, this isn't just about changing a curriculum. It's about changing a mindset. The policy is trying to foster a new dignity of labor, which means challenging the social stigma that has long treated vocational training as a lesser path. It's about giving practical skills the exact same respect as academic degrees. But okay, what does this all mean for a student sitting in a classroom? How does this huge idea actually translate into practice? Let's go inside the classroom and take a look at the shift from just books to actual skills. All right, so the journey is designed to be progressive. It starts in middle school with these introductory hands-on modules. And get this, it includes a really unique 10-day bagless period where students actually intern with local artisans, carpenters, potters, you name it. This then builds to full-on skills subjects in secondary school and finally specialized electives in senior secondary that get them ready for specific careers. Now, a really key innovation here is something called the safety net. So imagine this. A student takes their 5 core academic subjects plus 1 optional skill subject, like artificial intelligence. Let's say that student fails in a core subject, like math. Well, if they pass their AI subject, that skill subject can actually replace the failed one in their final result. This is a total game changer. It dramatically reduces academic pressure, and it validates different kinds of intelligence. And the curriculum goes way beyond just the technical stuff. Every single skill course includes a mandatory module on employability skills. We're talking about essentials like communication, self-management, and even entrepreneurship. The goal is to develop well-rounded professionals, not just technically proficient workers. So, gaining skills in the classroom is one thing, but where do those skills lead? Let's explore the actual pathways to a career and see how this system connects school directly to the real world of jobs and universities. A huge component here is the Skill Hubs initiative. What this means is that schools are now using their infrastructure, their labs, their classrooms, after-school hours to offer industry-linked training. And it's not just for their own students. It's open to school dropouts and local youth, turning these schools into these amazing community skill centers. And the career pathways you can see are so direct and exciting. A student taking artificial intelligence in senior secondary is on a clear track towards becoming an AI programmer. Financial markets management prepares them for investment banking. These aren't just random subjects. They're basically pre-professional training programs. And this, of course, leads to the big question that I'm sure is on everyone's mind. This all sounds great for getting a job, but what about higher education? Can you actually get into a university with these subjects? And the answer is a clear yes. First off, the National Common University Entrance Test, the CUET, now officially recognizes many of these skill subjects for admission. And second, there's a specialized degree called the Bachelor of Vocation, or BVoc. It's really cool because it's designed with multiple exit points, so students can earn qualifications along the way and even work while they continue their studies. The vision is clear, the framework is in place, but the million-dollar question remains: is the new system actually working? Let's take a balanced look at the promise versus the potential pitfalls. On one hand, the promise is immense, creating job-ready students and reducing dropout rates. But on the other, the hurdles are pretty significant. The biggest one is changing that deep-rooted social perception that vocational streams are somehow inferior. And then there's the practical challenge. Schools need a lot of time and money to build the necessary labs and infrastructure to do this right. Ultimately, this entire revolution is a bet on a different kind of future. A future where what you can do is more important than the degree you happen to hold. The framework is set, the mission is clear, and now a whole nation is watching to see if skills, not just degrees, will truly be the thing that powers India's future.